Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Money in the Bank. This is it, the first pay-per-view of a brand new series. It's hopefully going to be a platform to build off Money in the Bank as well. It's one of the big five, you would say. Nearly took over Survivor Series at one point. Hopefully this is going to be a really good show. If you've watched the last 4 episodes, you've watched the 4 weeks of TV going into this pay-per-view, so you know the big matches, but we will run through them for you right now. So then, the card for tonight sees the Intercontinental Championship on the line. Daniel Bryan hoping to take the title from Sami Zayn in what I'm hoping will be a masterclass. The Smackdown Women's Championship will also be on the line. Bayley defending against Carmella. Meanwhile, on the Raw side, Becky Lynch will be defending the Raw Women's Championship against Nia Jax. Moving on to the tag teams and Smackdown, and it's Miz and Morrison against Xavier Woods and Big E, of course, the New Day. And on the Raw side, it's the Street Profits defending against 2 of the Disciples. That's Buddy Murphy and Shelton Benjamin. Now then, if we move on to the Money in the Bank briefcase matches themselves, we'll start with the women. It's Sasha Banks versus Sonya Deville against Mandy Rose, Asuka, Shayna Baszler and Natalya. All 6 women fighting for a shot at that briefcase, fighting for a World Championship opportunity whenever they like. And on the men's side, you've got the phenomenal one, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, a late inclusion. And over on SmackDown, you've got Jeff Hardy, Kofi Kingston and Sheamus. One of those 6 men will also have a World Championship opportunity whenever they want to, whether that's Universal or WWE Championship. Now, the big championship matches themselves then. On SmackDown, we have the King of Strong Style hoping to dethrone the monster, and that is Braun Strowman. These two have been building it up quite nicely. Shinsuke winning a #1 contenders match, and since then Braun seemingly had the upper hand. But what has the King of Strong Style got up his sleeve for Braun Strowman tonight? And then the Raw main event, the Raw WWE Championship. It's Drew McIntyre defending the title he won at WrestleMania from Brock Lesnar against 2 high caliber opponents. Seth Rollins, the leader of the Disciples, the Monday Night Messiah, and of course the man that beat him at WrestleMania, KO Kevin Owens. It looks like it'll be a hell of a card. Let's do this. Okay then, what a way to start off. A 77 rated match. I'm going to say this early, but this could change by the end of it. Match of the series so far. Daniel Bryan wins the Intercontinental Championship from Sami Zayn with a no-lock. Now, the story behind this one, I'm going to go into a bit more depth in this particular episode. We're just in the pay-per-view, so I can really go into it. But the story behind this one is that Bryan's a warrior. Bryan has respect for the Intercontinental Championship. He's never had his rematch from WrestleMania 31. This is his big shot. Meanwhile, Sami Zayn is a little bit of a, they call it a chicken shit heel. He's a coward. He runs away from Bryan a few times, but in the end they do get to have a good match. And yeah, 2 workhorses going for the workhorse title. I just kind of like it. Daniel Bryan winning the title, but this for me is the start of a longer storyline that's going to play out over the next few months between these 2. So Bryan and Zayn, this is match #1, and Daniel Bryan wins the Intercontinental Championship. Daniel Bryan with an in-ring performance of 83, which is fabulous. Zayn 59, which is a little bit low, but 77 is a great way to start the show. I thought this would be the perfect match to start it. Had a really good heat, and yeah, these 2 have pulled out the actual bags, but a title change in the opening match of the pay-per-view. Start big. You damn right you start big. Then we look to work the crowd a bit more, and 64 for this isn't bad. Otis beats Dolph Ziggler, gets some revenge on the man who's been terrorising him and Mandy Rose over the last few weeks. The world's strongest slam apparently for Otis. Dolph 69, Otis 59. This, I put it as a work the crowd, and it seemed to have worked actually. I look on the dirt sheet, and Otis is an amazing babyface, which is really good. Kane did well as the road agent. Yeah, really quite good stuff. I can't complain too much with it at all. Dolph and Otis were slightly off their game, but they still pulled out a really good pay-per-view match. They have good chemistry, which is good. The idea behind it, Dolph, as always, is the Weasley heel that will use his quickness to try and get away from Otis. Mandy and Sonya may have been at ringside as well for both of those. And in the end, the power of Otis is too much for Dolph to handle. So Otis and Dolph, they obviously Dolph had cost Otis the Money in the Bank slot. Dolph then went on to lose it. So these two had the pay-per-view match. 64. Good stuff. Now, will we move them on to other stuff? It remains to be seen, but that could happen. Really good start to the pay-per-view, though. 58 for this one. The Raw Tag Team titles on the line. It's quite an interesting performance. We'll get to the booking in a second, but in-ring's performance of 57 for Angelo Dawkins, 58 for Montez Ford, 55 and 54 apiece for the heels. And it is the heels who win the tag team titles. Another title change tonight. The Disciples have won the tag team titles, beating the Street Profits. Murphy pinning Montez Ford with the Murphy's Law 2 weeks ago. Murphy beat Montez Ford, and he's done it again tonight. They win the Raw Tag Team Championships, and maybe the start of a longer storyline here, because of course the Disciples are paired up with Seth Rollins. This is one cog complete tonight. Disciples are the tag team champions. Can Seth Rollins do the business? Well, we'll find out later on. I think this would have been quite a good match. 58 as well, not bad. I mean, yeah, closer to 3 stars. Considering the pops, it's not too bad. I think the likes of Murphy and Montez Ford in particular will be the real highlights of this. Not taking anything away from Shelton or Angelo Dawkins. 4 good workers here, having a good match. And now the Tag Team Championships change hands. Have no fear, though. The Street Profits will be gunning for their titles back. And there are other tag teams that can be pushed into it. So the Raw Tag Team picture is looking good at the moment. After that win, then, Seth Rollins celebrates with the Disciples backstage, cuts a promo on the WWE Championship match, saying, look, this is one part of what we wanted to happen tonight, what we said would happen, how we will save the Raw brand. It started. These two disciples have taken on their judgment from me and have come up with a piece of brilliance. They've won the Raw Tag Team titles. Tonight, I will follow suit. Drew McIntyre, you've been warned. You are the target. We are the disciples, and we will take what we want, and that includes the WWE Championship. Really good promo here, 70 rated, building up the rest of the show. Also nice to have a little bit of break from matches. And then we move in to the Women's Money in the Bank match. And for a 41 segment rating, which is really, really low, we'll go into it in a moment, Sasha Banks becomes Miss Money in the Bank. Really, really interesting here. Really, really interesting. Obviously, Asuka won it in real life. She didn't win it here. For me, Shayna Baszler was another candidate. One of those three could have walked away with it. You could have put it on Sonya, Mandy, to build them up, particularly Sonya as a heel. You could have built her up. Natalya was there as a good workhorse, really never going to win it. But yes, Sasha wins it. So that's going to be very interesting going forward as to what's going to happen there. Of course, her tag team partner, Bayley, Smackdown Women's Champion, going into tonight, so it will be very interesting to see what happens. But the in-ring performances then, Sasha did well. Asuka was the best performance, not really surprisingly, but it didn't do well. This type of match was extremely poor choice for this audience. I don't know what that means. I'm worried about the men's match if that's the case. Inappropriate match type for this audience is what really brought it down. Now I'm worried for the men's match. What, they don't like ladder matches? Oh God. Afterwards though, the Boss and Hug connection celebrating the ring. Bayley really ramps up the celebrations because she's a little bit worried. Now Sasha has that title opportunity on her whenever she wants. I'm not going to say she can't do it to the Raw Women's Champion, but the connection is quite clear here. Sasha and Bayley, we'll have to see what happens. Moving on to the SmackDown Tag Team titles, The Miz and Morrison retain, pinning Xavier Woods with a skull-crushing finale. You can play up that Xavier Woods wasn't quite match fit, but New Day wanted those titles back, so he's kind of rushed into it a little bit. The Miz in-ring performance to 72 is really, really good. The rest, about what you'd expect. Big E was slightly off his game, which is a bit frustrating. But a 68 rated match isn't bad at all. 3.25 star. It's about what you'd want for your tag teams in the middle of the card, so I can't complain too much at all. Interesting, Miz and Morrison retaining the titles. We could have put it on New Day, and I could have put it on New Day, but Miz and Morrison only won the titles a few weeks ago on SmackDown. it made sense to continue it. And if you look on the SmackDown brand, there's more face teams to face than there are heel teams. You've got the Forgotten Sons, but that's about it. Whereas you've got tag teams like the Usos when Jey Uso comes back. New Day are still there. You've also got Heavy Machinery options there, and obviously Lucha House Party too. So Miz and Morrison keeping the titles made the absolute sense. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. Okay, and this is about what you'd expect. Just 61 segment rating here, 3 stars. Not too bad here for the Raw title. Becky retaining over Nia. Not too bad at all. Obviously, with Nia having a performance of 47, you kind of had to work with it. I can't really complain. I actually can't really complain. Second title defense of the night, I think, if that's right. So yeah, hopefully she'll go on to bigger and better things from here. Nia is a good first roadblock. Before the Universal Championship match, we had a video package for 62. I'm expecting a similar sort of match here. If I was to guess, I would say, 62 is not a bad option, actually. We'll go with about 64. I'm hoping for better, but I'd say it's probably going to be about 64. Braun Strowman, Shinsuke Nakamura for the Universal Championship. 69. So, yeah, better than I thought. And actually, worse than the in-ring performances, which is interesting. Braun Strowman defeating Shinsuke Nakamura in about 20 minutes. His second defense of the Universal title. Shinsuke was in there with him and really took it to him. The whole point of this match, the story of this match, will be the idea that Shinsuke surprises a lot of people. He actually dominates 10, 15 minutes in this. It's constantly Shinsuke. He's hitting big moves, but he just can't put the monster away. And in the end, Braun ends up popping up and hitting his power slam, standing triangle choke, whatever. He wins by a pinfall. And good match here. It's nearly 70 rating. Pretty good considering the pops of both of them. I wonder what slightly brought it down in terms of if it was below holding back, poor colour commentary. Yeah, all right, fine. Pretty good stuff. Okay, this is very interesting. So we know very early on ladder matches for some reason don't work. But we can confirm that the winner of the men's Money in the Bank match is AJ Styles. Yes. It's what I think it should have been in real life. It's what I am going with. I think AJ having the briefcase as a heel on Raw is a lot more interesting right now, considering you got Drew there as champion. I think he can really be a thorn in his side over the next few months, and that's what we're going with here. Really disappointing. Match dragged at the end. Type of match was extremely poor choice for this audience, but bull crap as far as I'm concerned. Bull crap, but fine, whatever. The performances themselves are pretty good. 79 from Styles, 82 from Orton, 60 from Samoa Joe's a little low. Although it's probably about right. Everyone sort of performed quite well actually, but the match itself brought it down. But it doesn't matter, because the main thing is AJ Styles is your Money in the Bank winner. I'm glad I didn't go with this as the main event, because I nearly did, but instead I went with something else. Kofi Kingston was angry after the move. Match upset that Samoa Joe almost injured him with a botched move. Brilliant. For the SmackDown Women's Championship then, Bayley defeats Carmella with a Bayley to belly. Can't really complain about this one. Similar to the Raw one, 61 rated segment. Both is performed better than the in-ring performance. I actually can't complain. Good match between two people that are considered friends behind the scenes, so you can't really complain at all. And of course, it makes sense now with Sasha winning the women's Money in the Bank to keep the title on Bayley. That's all I would say. Okay, then a video package before the main event. Then 64 for the video package. I'm expecting a 72-ish match. It might not even be the best match on the card, but we've got it as the main event. It's for the WWE Championship. Drew, can he hold off Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens? He can, and I said 72, and that's exactly what it was. Great match for the main event. And Drew McIntyre defeats Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens in about 29 minutes. Pinning Owens, interestingly. Seth Rollins carrying the match as well. Seth 79, really good. Drew 69, Kevin Owens 69. You can't complain with anything. Drew stands tall to end the pay-per-view. Exactly what you'd want to see. Exactly what happened in real life, to be fair, with Drew and Rollins. But we added Owens in now, and I think it worked. Now Owens and Rollins can go on to separate things maybe, and Drew needs a new challenger. We'll see what happens on Wednesday. That's all I'm going to say. Again, a 71 rated pay-per-view. I don't think that's that bad. A 7 out of 10 pay-per-view is pretty solid. The show lost its popularity in 19 regions, which is annoying, but if we really look through it, so Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn, a 3.5 star match. You could probably expect a little bit better, but because of the pops, you can't really, and it's the best match on the night, so Yeah, maybe that could have main evented, but the Intercontinental Championship over the world titles just feels a bit weird. Otis versus Ziggler, just over 3 stars for a good match there. Tag teams just under 3 stars, can't complain. The ladder matches were a mess, sure, and they really brought it down, but the tag teams were good. The women's titles were good matches. The world titles were good matches. I am really, really happy for the first pay-per-view, considering how everything is right now. I'm going to give Bryan and Zayn a real push here. Sorry, Sami, Zayn. I'm going to give them praise for a good performance, I guess would be the best way to do it. Yes, praise for a great performance. And then I need to look at someone who maybe drop the title. Actually, I think I'd probably give... What I'll do is give Seth a little bit of a... I'll tell him that he's awesome. And that should do the job. They should all be pleased with that, and they are. And I'm pleased with the pay-per-view. Now it's going to be interesting where we go from here. Of course, we're moving on and we're building up to Backlash. But next month there are 2 pay-per-views for you. It's going to be something pretty good. If I have a look at, by the way, this great pay-per-view. So yeah, that's good. That is very good. Viewing figures are, I don't know, pretty good, I guess. I'm not really good at that sort of stuff, but I really can't complain. If we do look at our events, then next month we've got Backlash coming up. It's gonna be, well, it's an unbranded show. I mean, they're all unbranded shows. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, Backlash, interesting. And obviously on the NXT side, we've got NXT Takeover in your house coming next month as well. So we're building up to a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, drop a like on the video for the pay-per-view itself. I hope it lived up to expectations, let's say, and we'll move on from there. Until next time, peace.